Yes, for chapter 22, and let's go for it.
The idler is like a filthy stone, and everyone hisses at his disgrace. The idler is like the filth of dunghills. Anyone that picks it up will shake it off his hand. It is a disgrace to be the father of an undisciplined son, and the birth of a daughter is a loss. A sensible daughter obtains a husband of her own, but one who acts shamefully is a grief to her father. An impudent daughter disgraces father and husband and is despised by both. Like music in time of mourning is ill-timed conversation, but a thrashing and discipline are at all times wisdom. Whoever teaches a fool is like one who glues potsherds together, or who rouses a sleeper from deep slumber. Whoever tells a story to a fool tells it to a drowsy man, and at the end of the day he will say, "What is it?" Weep for the dead, for he has left the light behind, and weep for the fool, for he has left intelligence behind.
That's a good one.
Weep less bitterly for the dead, for he is at rest, but the life of the fool is worse than death. Mourning for the dead lasts 7 days, but for the foolish or the ungodly, it lasts all the days of their lives.
Let's pause there for a moment because this guy is just too funny. Now, when you verse 1 and 2, read those again.
Okay. The idler is like a filthy stone, and everyone hisses at his disgrace. The idler is like the filth of dunghills. Anyone that picks it up will shake it off his hand.
Okay. The idler is like a filthy stone. The original text on that is idler is like toilet paper. Apparently they
had toilet paper back then?
Well, they had stones that and it says that
How can they find a great place?
Sirach's analogies are crude. The filthy stone is one that has been used as toilet paper. Hence, the parallelism with a lump of dung. Sirach adds, everyone flees from the stench of it.
Yeah.
This guy cuts no corners in laying out, what you should avoid. And going on, there is shame in being a father to a spoiled son, and the birth of a daughter means loss. A sensible daughter wins a husband, but an immodest one is grief to her father. A brazen daughter disgraces both father and husband and is despised by both. Unseasonable talk is like music in the time of mourning, but the lash of wisdom's discipline is always in season. So, we're talking about music during a time of mourning. It's not talking about church music. It's talking about rave, having a party. And but wisdom is always in season. Talking wisdom is always in season. But boy, this guy just really. You start.
So you're not supposed to glue pots back together? Is that what that's saying?
Yeah. Teaching a fool is like mending pottery with glue, or like rousing a sleeper from a heavy sleep. That's interesting, that mending pottery. The Japanese have this custom that some of their pottery is just beautiful. If it's broken, they repair it, but they repair it with gold. So when you look at the pot, you can see where it was broken because you can see the gold. And those are considered even better than the original pot. So it's interesting, in this culture, the Middle East, a broken pot is meaningless, worthless. But in Japan, a broken pot that's repaired is treasured. It's actually more valuable because now it has gold as well as the pot. And I remember when I studied in Hong Kong when I was in college for a semester. And when we went to, we were in Tokyo and Kyoto, spent more time in Kyoto, which at one time was the capital of Japan. And some of the stores you could go in and they would have pottery, but they would also have pottery where you could see the gold where it had been reassembled. So obviously somebody was breaking it and putting the gold in it. And I remember looking at it and thinking, that's just beautiful. But it was always much more expensive than getting one that had not been broken. So there's some wisdom associated, I think, with that something might be broken, but it can be repaired to be even more valuable than it was originally. And here, this is saying, teaching a fool is like bending pottery with glue. A broken pot, throw it out. So, anyway, but I will say the first few verses of chapter 22 are harsh, are very harsh. Mourning for the dead lasts 7 days. Well, of course, that was a Jewish thing. But for a godless fool, it lasts his lifetime. Beware of him or you may be in trouble and find yourself bespattered when he shakes himself. Avoid him if you are looking for peace, and you will not be worn out by his folly. What is heavier than lead? It is the name but fool. Sand, salt, and lumps of iron are less of a burden than a stupid man. That's harsh.
Yeah. Foxworthy could use some of these in his stand-up comedy lines.
Yes. And I'm preaching on Labor Day weekend at Emmanuel, and it's when one guy sins against you, go and talk to him. And if he doesn't listen, take 2 or 3 with you. I may have to tie that into
Get some phrases out of Sirach.
yeah. So okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead with.
Okay.
16, I think.
16.
Okay. A wooden beam firmly bonded into a building is not loosened by an earthquake. So the mind firmly resolved after due reflection will not be afraid in a crisis. A mind settled on an intelligent thought is like stucco decoration that makes a wall smooth. Fences set on a high place will not stand firm against the wind, so a timid mind with a fool's resolve will not stand firm against any fear. One who pricks the eye brings tears, and one who pricks the heart makes clear its feelings. One who throws a stone at birds scares them away, and one who reviles a friend destroys a friendship. Even if you draw your sword against a friend, do not despair, for there is a way back. If you open your mouth against your friend, do not worry, for reconciliation is possible. But as for reviling, arrogance, disclosure of secrets, or a treacherous blow, in these cases any friend will take to flight. Gain the trust of your neighbor in his poverty, so that you may rejoice with him in his prosperity. Stand by him in time of distress, so that you may share with him in his inheritance. The vapor and smoke of the furnace precede the fire, so insults precede bloodshed. I am not ashamed to shelter a friend, and I will not hide from him. But if harm should come to me because of him, whoever hears of it will beware of him. Who will set a guard over my mouth and an effective seal upon my lips, so that I may not fall because of them, and my tongue may not destroy me. Should I go on?
Now this, this one always kind of, some of these chapters end where you're in the middle of a thought, but this Sirach has just continued on, giving you some great pointers on how to deal with people. I almost think his way of dealing with people is don't. You're better off not having, a friend or don't join the Lions Club. Well, let's just continue on.
I think I'll read 27 again because I think it went right into verse 1.
Yes.
Okay, who will set a guard over my mouth and an effective seal upon my lips, so that I may not fall because of them, and my tongue may not destroy me? O Lord, Father and Master of my life, do not abandon me to their designs, and do not let me fall because of them. Who will set whips over my thoughts, and the discipline of wisdom over my mind, so as not to spare me in my errors, and not overlook my sins? Otherwise my mistakes may be multiplied, and my sins may abound, and I may fall before my adversaries, and my enemy may rejoice over me. O Lord, Father and God of my life, do not give me haughty eyes, and remove evil desire from me. Let neither gluttony nor lust overcome me, and do not give me over to shameless passion. Listen, my children, to instruction concerning the mouth. The one who observes it will never be caught. Sinners are overtaken through their lips. By them the reviler and the arrogant are tripped up. Do not accustom your mouth to oaths, nor habitually utter the name of the Holy One. For as a servant who is constantly under scrutiny will not lack bruises, so also the person who always swears and utters the name will never be cleansed from sin. The one who swears many oaths is full of iniquity, and the scourge will not leave his house. If he swears in error, his sin remains on him, and if he disregards it, he sins doubly. If he swears a false oath, he will not be justified, for his house will be filled with calamities. There is a manner of speaking comparable to death. May it never be found in the inheritance of Jacob. Such conduct will be far from the godly, and they will not wallow in sins. Do not accustom your mouth to coarse, foul language, for it involves sinful speech. Remember your father and mother when you sit among the great, or you may forget yourself in their presence, and behave like a fool through bad habit. Then you will wish that you had never been born, and you will curse the day of your birth. Those who are accustomed to using abusive language will never become disciplined as long as they live.
Just a short pause there. It seems like, in some ways, he's going through the 10 Commandments. Don't use the name of the Lord in vain. Honor your mother and your father. Remember your father and mother when you take your seat among the great, or you may forget yourself in their presence and make a fool of yourself through bad behavior. So, that's saying, if you act bad, they're going to blame your mother.
Yeah.
And most of us, if you had a mother like mine, you do something dumb, I would occasionally hear, "What will people think of us?" We don't want people to judge us based on how you behave. My mom always said, we might be poor, but we don't have to act poor. So.
Sounds like a woman of great wisdom.
She was. And she had a wonderful sense of humor. She had me.
She had to have a good sense.
Yeah. Okay, let's go on to the two kinds of men. You women all know this.
Two kinds of individuals multiply sins, and a third incurs wrath. Hot passion that blazes like a fire will not be quenched until it burns itself out. One who commits fornication with his near of kin will never cease until the fire burns him up. To a fornicator all bread is sweet, he will never weary until he dies. The one who sins against his marriage bed says to himself, "Who can see me? Darkness surrounds me, the walls hide me, and no one sees me. Why should I worry? The Most High will not remember sins." His fear is confined to human eyes, and he does not realize that the eyes of the Lord are 10,000 times brighter than the sun. They look upon every aspect of human behavior and see into hidden corners. Before the universe was created, it was known to him, and so it is since its completion. This man will be punished in the streets of the city, and where he least suspects it, he will be seized. So it is with a woman who leaves her husband and presents him with an heir by another man. For first of all, she has disobeyed the law of the Most High. Second, she has committed an offense against her husband. And third, through her fornication, she has committed adultery and brought forth children by another man.
Let me just pause you there for a minute. This translation says, thirdly, she has prostituted herself by bearing bastard children. Same thing, but a little bit more direct.
Yeah.
And again, we're unto another commandment. I mean, he's ticking them off one at a time.
Reminds me a teeny bit. Wasn't the Old Testament prophet, who was that? That his wife kept going out on him.
Well, one of the
Hosea?
prophets,
No,
one of the prophets, Old Testament prophets, a minor prophet, God told him to marry a prostitute.
yeah, that was what I'm trying to think.
Hosea. But God had him do that to make a point.
Right.
This guy is just making the point.
She herself will be brought before the assembly, and her punishment will extend to her children. Her children will not take root, and her branches will not bear fruit. She will leave behind an accursed memory, and her disgrace will never be blotted out. Those who survive her will recognize that nothing is better than the fear of the Lord, and nothing sweeter than to heed the commandments of the Lord.
Okay. If the Ten Commandments don't convince you shouldn't mess around, Sirach is giving you even more reasons. And this always reminds me of the girl I went to high school with, who had been dating her boyfriend through her junior and senior year in high school. Her father was the minister at Church of Nazarene. And when she got pregnant, her dad made her stand in front of the whole congregation and confess her sin. And then he came down and pointed to the back door of the church and he said, "You are no longer a member of my family. Get out." And I always thought, boy, that's really cruel. I mean, that doesn't seem...
No forgiveness there.
Yeah, that doesn't seem very Christian to me. I mean, if he wanted to throw her out, he could have done that, but he didn't have to do it in front of the whole congregation. But I guess he was figuring his congregation was going to judge him on how his children behaved.
I think someone might have judged him on how he treated his children.
Yeah. I mean, and she was a nice girl. She just got caught up with,
Stuff happens.
yeah, she got caught up with teenage hormones. And
Our Bible Baptist Church in Dodge City was like that. If any of the kids in the congregation did something bad and they would stand in front of the congregation, I would step foot in that church.
no,
The church of
Dodge,
Dodge.
the Southern Baptist Church in Dodge.
yeah, some of those, you don't find compassion and love. And that's certainly not, if we say parents resemble God's love, this guy did not resemble God's love. I mean, God would be upset, but he wasn't going to throw anybody out of the family. So, little glass of gin.
Yeah. You just think it's water. That's all I had.
Okay, let's jump right into 24. And I might mention this. The word Father is used here to define God. You know, the Father will do this. Father. In the Old Testament, there are very few times where God is referred to as God, as Father. He's referred to as God, but never as Father. So what we have here with the intertestamental Bible or writings, like the Wisdom of Sirach, the church is now starting to, because in the New Testament, God's referred to as Father. Jesus always talks about his Father. So here in the Apocrypha, we see God being referred to as Father by this author. Okay, chapter 24.
Wisdom praises herself and tells of her glory in the midst of her people. In the assembly of the Most High she opens her mouth, and in the presence of his hosts she tells of her glory. I came forth from the mouth of the Most High, and covered the earth like a mist. I dwelt in the highest heavens, and my throne was in a pillar of cloud. Alone I compassed the vault of heaven, and traversed the depths of the abyss. Over waves of the sea, over all the earth, and over every people and nation, I have held sway. Among all these I sought a resting place. In whose territory should I abide? Then the Creator of all things gave me a command, and my Creator chose the place for my tent. He said, "Make your dwelling in Jacob, and in Israel receive your inheritance." Before the ages, in the beginning, he created me, and for all the ages I shall not cease to be. In the holy tent I ministered before him, and so I was established in Zion. Thus, in the beloved city he gave me a resting place, and in Jerusalem was my domain. I took root in an honored people, in the portion of the Lord his heritage. I grew tall like a cedar in Lebanon, and like a cypress on the heights of Hermon. I grew tall like a palm tree in En-Gedi, and like rose bushes in Jericho. Like a fair olive tree in the field, and like a plane tree beside water, I grew tall. Like cassia and camel's thorn, I gave forth perfume, and like choice myrrh, I spread my fragrance. Like galbanum and onycha and stacte, and like the odor of incense in the tent. Like a terebinth, I spread out my branches, and my branches are glorious and graceful. Like the vine, I bud forth delights, and my blossoms become glorious and abundant fruit.
Okay, let's pause there for just a minute. What is he talking about? How wisdom came to be. And where did wisdom come from? Before the assembly of the Most High and in the presence of the heavenly God, I am the word which was spoken by the Most High. It was I who covered the earth like a mist. Remember in the prelude in John's Gospel, Jesus said, I am the Word, the spoken word. So in some ways, we have the Holy Spirit or wisdom coming the same way Jesus did. And wisdom says, my dwelling place was in the high heavens. My throne was in a pillar of cloud. I alone made the circuit of the sky and traveled to the depths of the abyss, the waves of the ocean, the whole earth. Every people and nation were under my sway. Wisdom, like the Holy Spirit, was wrapped around the earth. God had sent her. Then the Creator of the universe laid a command upon me. My Creator decreed, and wisdom is now saying my Creator, referring to God, where I should dwell. And where should wisdom dwell? Your heritage is in Israel, in the sacred tent, in his presence. And so I came to be established in Zion. Thus he settled me in the city he loved and gave me authority in Jerusalem. Remember, the Jews always saw Jerusalem as the place where God was most visible. Today, we know it's the altar here at the Episcopal Church. Unless you're Lutheran, and it's the altar at Emmanuel. But, you know, this is important stuff in terms of theology that we don't talk about. But if wisdom and the Holy Spirit are kind of joined together in some ways, then it's important to know that God sent the Holy Spirit. He covered the earth with it. And he settled it in Jerusalem. And he talked about my tent. Remember, the southern kingdom, the tent of meeting, was where God was. When God was in the tent. Not to be confused with the tent of an itinerant preacher who may be going across the country and setting up tents and preaching. They did have a tent of meeting. Remember, that's how David took the Ark of the Covenant, put it in the tent, and then they built the cathedral.
Wasn't that also called the Holy of Holies?
The Holy of Holies. And so then wisdom is going on. I grew like a cedar of Lebanon, like a cypress on the slope of Hermon, like the date palm in Engedi, like roses in Jericho. I grew like a fair olive tree in the vale, or a tree planted beside the water. A tree planted beside the water is going to grow quick because it can suck up the water. So it spread fast, and I spread my fragrance like choice myrrh, because you can't see wisdom, but you can smell it. I mean, you can hear it. Ruach, the wind. You know, that we talk about the Spirit. It comes in the form of wind. The Spirit descended on those people in the book of Acts like wind, and then they were able to each speak in their own tongue. So I put forth loyal, lovely shoots like a vine, and my blossoms were a harvest of wealth and honor. So, you know, here we have this, it's almost poetic, a little poem of how wisdom has moved and the importance of wisdom. I think that's important. And I know this is off the subject, but I keep forgetting. Did you find your dog?
She's gone. She couldn't live through that. There's no way
Okay.
with no medication and being in the heat and everything. So I believe she's with God.
Yeah, she's crossed the bridge. Well, we're sorry.
Thanks for asking.
You know, it makes me sad. Okay, let's go back to verse 19.
What happened to verse 18?
Well,
It goes from 17 to 19.
Oh, how funny.
remember this happened in one of the earlier chapters where they just deleted it. And see if my footnote says anything.
How funny.
No, they just got deleted. It wasn't very wise.
There's no verse 18.
Now it says here that some witnesses add, I gave birth to noble love, reverence, knowledge, and holy hope, and I give all thee my eternal prodigy to God's elect. And that was omitted. Somebody just didn't think it was important.
They were at the bottom of the page, except that scroll, so they were to the
Yeah.
They skipped it when they went to the next.
Well, they also skipped 24.
They did.
And so some witnesses have inserted, never fail to be strong in the Lord, hold fast to him, so that he may strengthen you. The Lord Almighty is God alone. Beside him, there is no other. So we know those two verses may have been late ads. So when they were putting this together, somebody said, that's written in blue pen, everything else is in black pen. We think somebody may have added that. So they just delete it. Okay.
I've been wondering, I didn't know some of those words in verse 15, so I'm going to look them all up when I get home. I guess they're like flowers or something.
Well, you know how myrrh smells.
Actually, I don't know if I do. But it smells good.
It smells good. I don't know if we have any myrrh incense here or not, but myrrh is, and myrrh was also one of the spices that Jesus was wrapped with, frankincense and myrrh. Gallbon.
Barbara, report back to us next week on what those words mean.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I can give you a couple of them. Gallbon is a flower. The next thing is aromatic shell. So that must be some kind of shell that has a fragrant smell. And gum resin. And that gum resin is usually mixed when you do incense. The incense, if you're using myrrh or frankincense, it's in there, but there's also gum resin, which is usually like a BB size, and it's kind of amber in color. And the idea behind that is it melts and kind of holds the incense together. But it also has a scent to it.
Oh, that's
So,
interesting.
so when in the next verse when it says, I was like the smoke of incense in the sacred tent.
Oh,
Smelled like, like those flowers.
okay. Thanks.
Yep. Save you a trip to the dictionary.
Come to me, you who desire me, and eat your fill of my fruits. For the memory of me is sweeter than honey, and the possession of me is sweeter than the honeycomb. Those who eat of me will hunger for more, and those who drink of me will thirst for more. Whoever obeys me will not be put to shame, and those who work with me will not sin. All this is the book of the covenant of the Most High God, the law that Moses commanded us as an inheritance for the congregations of Jacob. It overflows like the Pishon with wisdom, and like the Tigris at the time of the firstfruits. It runs over like the Euphrates with understanding, and like the Jordan at harvest time. It pours forth instruction like the Nile, like the Gihon at the time of vintage. The first man did not know wisdom fully, nor will the last one fathom her. For her thoughts are more abundant than the sea, and her counsel deeper than the great abyss. As for me, I was like a canal from a river, like a water channel into a garden. I said, I will water my garden and drench my flower beds. And lo, my canal became a river, and my river a sea. I will again make instruction shine forth like the dawn, and I will make it clear from far away. I will again pour out teaching like prophecy, and leave it to all future generations. Observe that I have not labored for myself alone, but for all who seek wisdom.
Okay.
Probably is the most important verse. I didn't do it for me, but for all. Now I don't know that. The 34, observe that I have not labored for myself alone, but for all who seek wisdom. That includes everybody.
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 This, wisdom is there for everybody. I do like in 20 or in 33, I will again pour out, my translation says doctrine like prophecy. And what did yours say? Teaching?
Teaching.
I like the word doctrine there, because teaching is just, learn the times tables. But doctrine it has substance. It's the belief of the church, or in this case, it would be the belief of Sirach. And, we get, where does wisdom come from? It's not through teaching, it's through doctrine. That's just a semantic difference, but I think it's significant that doctrine gives it more weight. Well, let's jump right into 25.
I take pleasure in 3 things, and they are beautiful in the sight of God and of mortals: agreement among brothers and sisters, friendship among neighbors, and a wife and a husband who live in harmony. I hate 3 kinds of people, and I loathe their manner of life: a pauper who boasts, a rich person who lies, and an old fool who commits adultery. If you gathered nothing in your youth, how can you find anything in your old age? How attractive is sound judgment in the gray-haired, and for the aged to possess good counsel. How attractive is wisdom in the aged, and understanding and counsel in the venerable. Rich experience is the crown of the aged, and their boast is the fear of the Lord. I can think of 9 whom I would call blessed, and a 10th my tongue proclaims: a man who can rejoice in his children, a man who lives to see the downfall of his foes. Happy the man who lives with a sensible wife, and the one who does not plow with ox and ass together. Happy is the one who does not sin with the tongue, and the one who has not served an inferior. Happy is the one who finds a friend, and the one who speaks to attentive listeners. How great is the one who finds wisdom, but none is superior to the one who fears the Lord. Fear of the Lord surpasses everything. To whom can we compare the one who has it?
Okay, I'm trying to, where I had it. Verse 8. How did you say verse 8?
Happy is the man who lives with a sensible wife, and the one who does not plow with ox and ass together. Happy is the one who does not sin with the tongue, and the one who has not served an inferior.
Okay. Happy the husband of a sensible wife. Doesn't say happy is the wife of a sensible husband. Even God knows that's impossible. The farmer who does not plow with ox and ass together.
Yeah, I kind of wondered why not. Why is it because of 2 different species?
They don't work well
They
together.
don't. That'd be like having a horse and a cow together.
Yes. I mean, an ox is trained to plow or to drive a plow or a cart or whatever. A donkey is kind of a wild hare.
Yeah.
You don't know where it's going to grow, how it's going to.
But there were people before mechanized tractors and stuff that did plow with mules and donkeys.
Yes, but they didn't put an ox on with
No,
them.
they didn't. They didn't string them together. No.
But you just can't substitute 2 ox, 2 donkeys. Although I think it's probably harder to plow with 2 donkeys because one's going to go one way, one's going to. But the ox is just kind of labors on ahead. And happy the man who found a friend, and the speaker who has an attentive audience. How great is the man who finds wisdom, but no greater than he who fears the Lord. For the fear of the Lord exceeds all other gifts. And I think fear, again, I don't think they mean coward. They mean love, that you commit yourself to God. And to what can we compare a man who has it? So he asks the question, and now he's going to go on to give us some insight on some social behavior.
Any wound, but not a wound of the heart. Any wickedness, but not the wickedness of a woman. Any suffering, but not suffering from those who hate. And any vengeance, but not the vengeance of enemies. There is no venom worse than a snake's venom, and no anger worse than a woman's wrath. I would rather live with a lion and a dragon than live with an evil woman. A woman's wickedness changes her appearance and darkens her face like that of a bear. Her husband sits among the neighbors, but he cannot help sighing bitterly. Any iniquity is small compared to a woman's iniquity. May a sinner's lot befall her. A sandy ascent for the feet of the aged, such is a garrulous wife to a quiet husband. Do not be ensnared by a woman's beauty, and do not desire a woman for her possessions. There is wrath and impudence and great disgrace when a wife supports her husband.
I'm going to let you pause there for just a minute because my translation is substantially different.
Okay.
Starting off with verse 13. Any wound, but a wound in the heart. Any spite, but a woman's. Any disaster, but one caused by hate. Any vengeance, but the vengeance of an enemy. There is no venom worse than a snake's, and no anger worse than an enemy's. It's a little different than.
Yeah,
That's a big difference.
I thought he must not like women or something.
Well, it gets better.
Okay.
With verse 16, I would sooner share a home with a lion or a snake than keep house with a spiteful wife. Her spite changes her expression, making her look as surly as a bear. Her husband goes to the neighbors for his meals and cannot repress a bitter sigh. When you talked about goes to the neighbors, verse 18, what did yours say?
It says, her husband sits among the neighbors and he cannot help sighing bitterly.
Okay, see this one tells us why he's going to the neighbors. He's going over there for his meals. 2 reasons. One, there may be better cooks and he knows they're not poisoning his food. And cannot repress a bitter sigh. So then he goes on. I feel sorry for women, although if you're a bad wife, maybe this is what you deserve. There is nothing so bad as a bad wife. Says it right out. May the fate of the wicked overtake her. It is as easy for an old man to climb a sand dune as it is for a quiet husband to live with a nagging wife. Do not be enticed by a woman's beauty, or set your heart on possessing her. If a man is supported by his wife, he must expect tantrums, shamelessness, and outrage. A bad wife brings humiliation, downcast looks, and a wounded heart. The one example, I don't know, what does your translation say for verse 20?
20 says, a sandy ascent for the feet of the aged, such is a garrulous, Garrulous, wife to a quiet husband.
Okay. See, I like this translation that I have because it makes sense. It's as easy for an old man to climb a sand dune as for a quiet husband to live well with a nagging wife. Have you ever tried to climb a sand dune? Living in Michigan, they got the Big Bear sand dunes up north. And you can stand on the top of the sand dunes and you can look down and see Lake Michigan. And you think, well, it'd be kind of cool just to kind of run down that sand dune. Well, most people get maybe halfway before they lose their balance and roll to the bottom. But once you get to the bottom, you think, well, that's just a short hike up to the top. But when you walk in a sand dune, it's not solid. And so your foot goes in and you slip. Your next foot goes in. And so, you're walking like crazy and you stop and look and you maybe have gone 5 feet.
Yeah.
So, unless you've been in a sand dune, you don't really understand. It's as easy for an old man to climb a sand dune. Now, that's even kids, it's tough. But I was smart enough the last time I was at the dunes, I didn't go down. Because I knew my old legs were not going to get me back up. And there's a big sign there that says, you need to understand how difficult it is to climb a dune. Because there's no ropes, there's no shuttle. Once you're down there, you're down there. So, slack of hand and weak of knee is the man whose wife fails to make him happy. Woman is the origin of sin, and it is through her that we all die. Boy, bring a little bit of Genesis to the story. Do not leave a leaky cistern to drip, or allow a bad wife to say what she likes. If she does not accept your control, divorce her and send her away.
Yeah.
So, here we have a whole bunch. He gives some things about a happy wife or a good wife, but he says 2 or 3 times more about a bad wife. I think Sirach may have gone through a bad divorce. Because...
Or maybe endured a bad marriage.
Yeah. Because he really goes after a bad wife. And we won't hear this read in church either.
Now, when you're doing it Labor Day weekend, you won't pull that phrase out.
No, I won't be reading that. I'll be reading some of that earlier stuff about. So that's some harsh. And how different was this translation to what you have? Significant?
Starting where? Dejected mind, gloomy face, and wounded heart come from an evil wife. Drooping hands and weak knees come from the wife who does not make her husband happy.
Yeah. Slack of hand and weak of knee is the man whose wife fails to make him happy. Sounds like that guy's a Casper milquetoast. Wife.
It's all her fault.
Yeah. He puts himself in neutral and she pushes him around.
All our life, it's always been our fault. Now, we have a phrase where it's all her fault.
Yeah. But I tell you, when he ends that chapter by saying, woman is the origin of sin. Boy, that's brazen to say something like that. It's through her that we all die. It's her fault. Of course, he doesn't say it's through her that we're all born.
Yeah.
Not to make an analogy, but Adam and Eve did Eve have a big part in that falling away from God?
Yeah, she ate from the tree of knowledge, and then she gave it to Adam.
Adam, and then he finished him up.
Yeah. Oh, apple. Do we have a pie too? Yeah.
These would make a great pie.
Yeah. And it's Eve. Some cheddar cheese would go great with this apple. So,
You should have said, get it yourself.
yeah. Do not leave a leaky cistern to drip or allow a bad wife to say what she likes. If she does not accept your control, divorce her and send her away. And divorce in the Hebrew system, you just gave a woman a bill of divorce. And, you know, there was no alimony, child support, nothing. You just said, we're divorced. Leave the tent. So, although I know, ladies, you may not want to come back next week because of this, chapter 26 begins by saying, a good wife makes a happy husband. She doubles the length of his life. So there's some redemption ahead in chapter 26. We'll see you all next week.
I'm sure all the ladies here were good.